Okay, so I go home to finally rest and crash because I've been on like next to no sleep. I drove them that morning to the ICU and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm so physically tired. The adrenaline was starting to wear off. All that to be said, what had happens next is I go home to sleep and I get a call a few short hours later from the ICU saying that she's extubated. Now, mind you, the day she crashed and they brought the crash cart in and did life-saving measures on her, the doctor told me it was going to be up to her whether she wanted to live or not, and no one knew if that was going to be the case, but she probably had a pretty low percentage of living due to the fact that she had ARDS, which was where her blood oxygen was not exchanging, and she wasn't getting enough oxygen, and that's why we had to introduce the nitrous. All that to be said, what had happened next was I get my happy ass up after sleeping yet again, not very long. And I rush there because she's asking for me and the family says she's asking for me. It was a good sign her brain function was intact and that she had memories, and that was great considering the fact that she was dying a few days ago. It all really happened that quickly. The escalation to crashing, on needing a crash cart, and then getting better, I think was it within 2 to 3 days of that, to the point where they pulled the breathing tube because she was doing so well. Mind you, most of these days I sat at her bedside praying to God that he would save her. So anyways, I get up there and their normal self is kind of there, but also not. After you're on propofol for 7 or 8 days, you're gonna wake up a fucking loony goony. You're gonna repeat yourself 472 times because that stuff messes with your memory. On purpose. Yeah, so she gets better rapidly. I don't think she spends much longer in the ICU, maybe a day or so after she's extubated, and then she's transferred to a regular floor. And during the time that she was intubated, she lost like 30 pounds in like a week. It was crazy. I'd never seen such rapid weight loss on a human being ever. It takes a lot of energy for your body to heal itself and to fight for your life. So anyways, we get to this main floor and we get to this main floor and a lot more of her personality starts coming back. We end up bringing her dog up there to see her and sneaking her into the hospital. Not really sneaking because like I said, this dog was kind of hella aggressive. So when the doctor walked in and actually charged it after the doctor. Now this dog was like 20, 30 pounds. It wasn't a big dog, maybe less, maybe like 25. But I digress. We brought that damn dog up there to boost her spirit. Sure. They started prescribing her Marilol, which is a drug they use to help with appetite because she had none. And I started bringing her all these foods from all over the place to try to get her to eat again because hospital food, gross. Ugh. Eventually it's time for her to be discharged. Doctor comes in and is like, hey, we're gonna put you in a rehab facility so you can gain all your strength back. And I was like, nah. I got this. I'll take on that workload. I work from home. I can be there all the time. She needs to go home on oxygen. I said I was an EMT. I can handle oxygen. She needs to do lung exercises 4 times a day. I said I'll get her doing all that. She needs to walk. I'll get her walking. And that's exactly what I did. I bring her home and we, I think, still had a few chemo sessions left. And I was surprised, but they wanted to start chemo pretty quickly after that. So all that to be said, we're just going back to a normal routine, semi-normal, and I'm doing everything for this person for the most part. Now this whole journey, the second end of it is months and months of her recovery, gaining lung function, being able to walk better, gaining strength back, me constantly cooking and cleaning and taking care of the house and everything. Also working remote. And then taking her to chemo and appointments, because there's a lot of appointments after you come off life support. Eventually we do get her to a point where she is off oxygen and able to function all by herself. And I start asking the same questions. I'm like, thinking, you have a second chance at life. What do you want to do with your life? And I start talking to her like that, like, what do you want to do? Who do you want to be? And then after asking all these insightful questions to her, I'm like, what do I want to do with my life? I just went through this huge thing with another person. What do I want? Because that was a lot to put on my plate. I'm not saying she did it, but that was a lot to go through. So now, like, what do I actually want out of life? Now that I've seen how fragile life is and how quickly it moves, what do I freaking want in this world? And I'll tell you what I wanted. I wanted to be a mom. And I thought we were going to be a family. And I came to her and I told her I wanted to be a mom. And I said, you know, I'll continue to work and provide for us. I want to get pregnant. I want to be a mom. I want to start a family with you. And we talked about this for a while, and I told her all the ways I had researched at home how to do like an IUI. And she was on board, completely enthusiastic, and wanted the same thing, to my knowledge. So I started looking through sperm donor registries after they finished their last chemo and after they were technically in remission. To this day, I have no clue what they're up to. I've heard they're still kicking it, but I don't know how their cancer journey's doing. I don't know shit about them, and I don't want to. I used to care how they were doing more because I invested so much of my life into ensuring that they were okay, and I wanted the best for them still. But yeah, all that to be said, I started looking for sperm donors. I started purchasing this product called the Stork and stockpiling. They're sold at CVS. They're like this contraceptive contraption, not contraceptive, but like you like, it's like a, it was weird. It was like a really long set of like tongs that you like, it's hard, it's, you could look it up, Stork for conception. It's an at-home, basically IUI, basically, because it goes right outside the uterus. It's not technically an IUI. I forget what it's called, but that's what I used to get pregnant with my first. Now I know a lot of you are surprised because all of my children are biologically my husband's. But after looking for sperm donors through a registry, I'm looking and looking and looking, and Friends You May Know pops up on Facebook, and a guy I've known since preschool is on my Facebook, and I'm like, I wonder how he's doing. He's kind of handsome. So I asked my partner how she feels about him and tell her how I know him, how nice he is, and ask her how she would feel if I asked him if we could pay him, go under contract, and he could be our sperm donor as long as there was no concerns within the bloodlines that there would be anything genetically wrong with our kids. And we discussed it for a long time, and she agrees that that would be a good thing. And that would mean that we wouldn't have to go through a cryobank because we wouldn't have a need for it to be frozen, which sometimes reduces your chances, based off the research I was doing. So we take him out to eat, my current husband, and I'm like proposing this, and I had brought my lawyer documents for a sperm donor contract where he would sign away his parental rights, and I slid it across the table, gave my whole proposal, and I said, don't sign it today, think it over. It allowed him time to like decide how much he wanted to charge. On average, each batch of baby batter online was about $700 back then. $700 for one chance to get pregnant. And the thing that we used to like get the sauce where it was supposed to be was about 80 bucks. So every time it was about 800 bucks, and I offered him anywhere from like $800 to $1,000 a pop to try to get pregnant. I was like, go home, talk to your family, think it over. Like, this is a really big decision. And he was like, I already thought about it before I came here, when he kind of told me what this meeting was about, and I want to do this. So yeah, he signed the paperwork that day. I held on to it for a while, double checking, ensuring, re-asking for a meeting to ensure this is exactly what he wanted, clarifying he would have no rights to this child legally. And he agreed to all of that and was very respectful throughout the entire process. We had a routine. I would test for ovulation, and the day that I ovulated, I would send a text to my current partner and him and say, it's ovulation day. And then he had a key to leave a sample in my downstairs bathroom, and he would tell us when he was going to come over, and I would just hang out upstairs, and my partner would bring the stuff upstairs, and we would do the thing and wait. It took about 6 months to see success with this process. I didn't know if it was going to work, and every month I was very hopeful it would work. And at one point I had a, what's it called? It's not a full miscarriage, but it's like a chemical pregnancy. Got a positive pregnancy test that eventually, like throughout the week, faded to a negative, but there was no like real time after missing my period that it really like drug on. And the doctor told me that was normal. So I finally get pregnant, and I tell my partner, who's now cancer-free, that we're gonna be parents, and I wake them up because it's early in the morning. I took a first morning urine test, and they grab it, look at it, and roll over and ignore me. I was obviously extremely excited, and they had the exact opposite reaction, and it broke my heart. So I remember going back to my phone and texting Zach, you did it, thank you so much. I am pregnant. And he gave me a better reaction than she did. It's getting juicy.